protesters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PHVote 2013.
Today on Rappler, a power plant glitch causes tight power supply in Luzon until Wednesday. 2 weeks after the Bangsamoro peace deal, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front condemns the killing of 4 members in a military operation. And The Guardian and The Washington Post share a Pulitzer for reports on the U.S. government's cyber spying. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The National Grid Corporation of the Philippines says power supply in the Luzon grid will be tight until Wednesday because of a glitch in a power plant. Luzon was placed under yellow alert starting Tuesday. This means there's a, quote, thin power reserve, less than 600 megawatts. Energy Secretary Jericho Petilla confirms the emergency shutdown of the Masinloc power plant, but says there's no cause for panic. Power supply is usually tight during summer months because demand for electricity is higher than the supply. Many power plants are also scheduled for maintenance and repairs during this time. Leftist lawmakers asked the Supreme Court to extend its temporary restraining order, or TRO, on the rate hike of power distributor Manila Electric Company, or Meralco. In a motion filed Tuesday, legislators from the Makabayan Coalition say that if the TRO is not extended, it will cause, quote, grave and irreparable injury. Petitioners say Meralco unnecessarily inflated the charges passed on to consumers. In February, the High Court extended its initial TRO on the rate increase. It expires April 22. Meralco's 4 peso and 15 centavo per kilowatt hour rate hike is the highest ever to be imposed by the power company. The company says the rate hike is because of simultaneous shutdowns of power plants which supply its energy. The outages forced Meralco to buy power from the wholesale electricity spot market, or WISM. Meralco says it was a victim of arbitrary bids that messed up pricing at WISM. It also says the TRO puts the power company at risk and warns about the possibility of rotational blackouts. The High Court is set to decide if the rate increase and the approval of the Energy Regulatory Commission is constitutional. A broken rail along the southbound route of the Metro Rail Transit Line 3 stalls operations Tuesday. MRT General Manager Alvi Tangcol says the MRT3 rail was not operational from the southbound route of both North Avenue and Quezon Avenue stations. Full operations resumed at 11:55 a.m. Periodic shutdown in operations and long lines during rush hour remain problems. The MRT says it expects to get additional coaches in the first quarter of 2015. These persistent problems pushed commuter groups to call for Vitangcol to resign. The Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, condemns the killings of 4 of its members in a military operation in Basilan. This comes just 2 weeks after the group signed a peace deal with the government to end decades of conflict. Government forces launched the operation Friday to capture 2 top leaders of the Abu Sayyaf group, or ASG, blamed for beheadings and kidnappings. The military says 18 members of the ASG and MILF were killed. Armed Forces Chief General Emmanuel Bautista says the MILF members were supposedly, quote, acting on their own to help ASG members who were also their relatives. On Tuesday, MILF Vice Chairman Ghazali Jaafar says the group asked an international committee to investigate the attack. Jaafar says, "We do not want this agreement to be disturbed by such unwanted incidents initiated by the military." The military and the MILF jointly are supposed to be in charge of the security situation in Muslim-dominated areas until this envisioned Bangsamoro police force is set up. The siege in Zamboanga City last year destroyed homes, disrupted livelihood, and forced children out of school. But 3 schools most affected by the fighting managed to get a high percentage of its students to go back to school and to graduate. G. Geronimo reports.
Yung pangarap ko kasi po ay makapagtapos ng pag-aaral, makahanap ng trabaho, matulungan ang mga magulang.
Life was tough for Ayesha Lagayan and her family even before the fighting broke out between government troops and rebels in Zamboanga City last September 2013. During the siege, her family lost its home, her father lost his job, and Ayesha lost her school. For the rest of the year, Ayesha and her classmates studied in tents.
Santa Barbara Central School was part of Ground Zero during the Zamboanga siege. The school has been off limits to students since September last year for fear these bullet holes will only remind them the horror of the almost 3-week ordeal.
Now a deserted area, Santa Barbara Central is one of 3 schools most affected by last year's fighting. Despite the devastation, the schools record high graduation rates. The secret to success? School officials tracked students and encouraged them to go back to school.
Presentation and certification of your school principal.
Education Department official Pete Natividad says the Santa Barbara schoolhouse will not be ready for students by next school year.
In the meantime, so one of the considerations is really to find an alternative place. So ngayon kasi nasa division training center sila. You will see how crowded, how small is the space.
But classes continued despite the shortage in classrooms. The department will open summer classes for students who stopped going to school. Teachers try to make classes as fun as possible so kids keep coming back. Ayesha will not be taking summer classes. Against all odds, she finishes elementary as the valedictorian of her class. Her graduation speech says it all.
To end, I would like to say that the greatest miracle of our success in life will not be that we finish. It will be that we had the courage to begin.
Geronimo Rappler, Zamboanga City.
The first dive by a mini submarine hunting for the missing Malaysian flight MH370 finds nothing. The U.S. Navy says the mission was aborted Tuesday after reaching the machine's maximum operating depth of 4,500 meters, or about 15,000 feet. The Unmanned Autonomous Underwater Vehicle, or AUV Bluefin 21, is set for a second sonar sweep of the Indian Ocean seabed during the day. The AUV managed to get 6 hours worth of data. A U.S. statement says, quote, "The data was analyzed and no objects of interest were found." The Navy estimates it will take the AUV from 6 weeks to 2 months to scan the entire search area. The Guardian and the Washington Post share a Pulitzer Prize for reporting on the vast U.S. cyber spying network exposed by former National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden. The 2 newspapers win the award for public service journalism for sparking debate about secretive NSA programs. Both newspapers relied on documents leaked by Snowden. The leaks embarrassed the U.S. government and strained relations with allies. In a statement, Snowden says the Pulitzer decision is, quote, "a vindication for everyone who believes that the public has a role in government." But Republican Congressman Peter King hits the move on Twitter, saying, "Awarding the Pulitzer to Snowden enablers is a disgrace." Among the other Pulitzers, the Boston Globe staff wins the Breaking News Award for its coverage of the Boston Marathon bombings. The New York Times wins awards for breaking news photography and feature photography. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, the prosecution accuses Oscar Pistorius of faking emotional reactions to dodge tough questions about the death of his girlfriend during his murder trial. Frustrated with the athlete's frequent crying, prosecutor Jerry Nell accused Pistorius of fake tears, saying, "Mr. Pistorius, you're not using your emotional state to escape, are you? You're getting frustrated because your version is improbable and you're getting emotional." During 6 days of testimony, Pistorius often broke down when asked about the moments he fired the 4 shots that killed Riva Steenkamp. He has repeatedly claimed he fired the shots, fearing an intruder was behind the bathroom door. At number 8, a report by an analytics group says most mobile games only have a day to catch a player's interest. According to Swerve's new players report, only 33.9% of those trying a game keep playing after the first day. Swerve also notes, quote, "a steep fall off with only 5.5% continuing to play the game after 30 days. Reacting to the report, video game veteran Ben Cousins says 40% of players returning on the second day is, quote, great numbers, a sign of a real hit. And at number 10, King Charles III, a play with an audacious plot about the British royalty, opens in London to glowing, if somewhat scandalized, reviews. The New York Times reports the new play by Mike Bartlett imagines Charles as paranoid and power-obsessed king, dissolving Parliament and parking a tank outside Buckingham Palace. Prince William's wife, Kate, plays a decisive role in saving the monarchy and preventing civil war. Ads for the play showing the real Prince Charles dressed for his coronation were banned until they were replaced with a heavily pixelated version. The New York Times says it explores what might happen if a British monarch bucked centuries of tradition and refused to rubber stamp the will of Parliament. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. For our social media post of the day, sky watchers from North and South America get a glimpse of a blood moon in this month's total lunar eclipse, the first of 4 consecutive lunar eclipses this year and the next. Pictures of the blood moon with its distinctive crimson hue go viral online. Some posted vivid photos, while others made up memes like Miley Cyrus's Red Wrecking Ball. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. You click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the 10 stories that have affected our readers and our viewers the most emotionally. If you take a look, these 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on the mood meter. And today, interestingly enough, we still have just a new thought leaders piece, RH Law victory over religious bigotry. Interestingly, 14% happy, 14% annoyed, and a whopping 70% inspired, roughly the amount that surveys said support the RH bill before it became law. And let's go to the story that's gotten the most number of votes. PGAD, and so you know what PGAD is. It is persistent genital arousal disorder. Not 100 orgasms a day, but a medical condition. It's a health story. Look at interesting mood votes, 10% annoyed, 17% don't care, and a whopping 52% amused, bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are amused. Well, that is Rappler's newscast for today, Tuesday, April 15, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.